What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Trevor Cherney, and thank you so much for joining another episode of The Penalty. And, let's get started. So, first of all, just a quick update about the Lions' offensive coordinator position. So far, there's been no hire yet of any sorts. We still have no idea who's going to be the Lions' OC. We don't have any hints. We don't know really anything much. They've interviewed a total of 3 candidates so far. They interviewed Mike McDaniel, who was the former head coach from Miami Dolphins. Then they interviewed Mike Kafka, who was the interim head coach of the New York Football Giants. And then they also interviewed Zach Robinson, who was the OC for the Falcons under Raheem Morris. So far, they actually have a pretty good candidate list, I would say. To me, so far, who they've interviewed, if you ask me right now who I want the most, it's Mike McDaniel. I mean, Mike McDaniel's no-brainer. You know, he's a former head coach, but also offensively, he's an offensive genius. You know, he can scheme guys open. He's not afraid to run the ball. He would work so well with his Lions offense. It would be unbelievable, truthfully. Him coming to Detroit would be huge for this team. Because they need an offensive coordinator who knows what they're doing. What Dan Campbell needs is an OC who can basically look over the offense himself, and Dan Campbell doesn't have to worry a bit. So, you know, bringing somebody like Mike McDaniel, who has such a pedigree to him, and that would be huge. I would love that to happen. I would love for Mike McDaniel to come to Detroit, and hopefully it happens. My second option from those 3 candidates would probably be Zach Robinson from the Atlanta Falcons. So, and the reason why I say that is because, one, he worked with Jared Goff in L.A. At one point, which is nice. They have at least a little connection there, right? Without having a direct connection to the Lions or Dan Campbell or anything like that, but having at least a connection with Jared Goff, their quarterback, right? And then also, too, they weren't afraid to run the ball in Atlanta, And look, the Lions, what they need to do is they need to go back to Lions football, which is running the football down your throat. So that's what they need to return to. So if it's not Mike McDaniel, I would love to have Zach Robinson here. I think he'll be a really nice fit. But as it stands right now, McDaniel will be my first choice. So fingers are crossed that it all works out, and he's hopefully the OC for the Lions by hopefully next week. We'll see, just depending what happens with the rest of the interviews, and if he's the right guy for the job. So, So quickly, I just want to say everything about that before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show. So this week, obviously, this weekend is the NFL divisional weekend. So we are only a few weekends until the Super Bowl, which is hard to believe. The season is just, it's almost over. We only have really a few more weeks of football, and then that's it for the rest of the year. So, which is kind of crazy that it's already over. It just felt like yesterday that the season already started. So the fact that it's already almost over is, it's unbelievable. So we have a great weekend of football games, and it's just a little preview, see what's who's facing who and whatnot. So let's get right to it. So first game is Bills and Broncos. Now look, here's my thoughts about that game in particular. Okay, think about the Bills. Is this okay? What have we been saying for the past 5-6 years? Okay, if you want to say, well, they have the potential to win a Super Bowl because of Josh Allen. They've in fact have the potential to win a Super Bowl for the past, like I said, 5-6 years. But the problem is that they haven't been able to, right? They haven't even reached a Super Bowl. And that's because in the AFC, of course, not only do you have Josh Allen, but you got Lamar Jackson, and of course you got Patrick Mahomes. And especially Patrick Mahomes, that has been Josh Allen's one kryptonite. Well, now, in the AFC, you don't have Mahomes. You don't have Lamar Jackson. You don't have Joe Burrow. Like, if this were any year to go for it and to win a Super Bowl, this is it for the Bills. There are no excuses. None this time around. Right? Like, it's finally time to get serious. Because right now, my belief is that it's now or never for them. That if they can't get it done this year, they're simply never going to get it done, period. So, there's a lot at stake for the Bills in my eye, and for Josh Allen. Like, if he really wants to submit himself as a legendary quarterback, no matter how good you are, you need a Super Bowl. That's a fact. You want to cement yourself in NFL legacy, you need a Super Bowl, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You need one. And it's very important for the Bills, if they want to continue this, that they, that they chase this. So, and I think it's possible. Look, I like the Broncos. I think they're well coached. They have a really good defense. But I'm just not sure about the offense, though. It's a little hot and cold sometimes with Bo Nix. And it's a little... I just, I don't have... To tell you the truth, I don't have a whole lot of trust in Bo Nix. And while I think he's a decent quarterback, certainly I think he's taken a step back from this year compared to last year, and not to say that he's bad, because he's not. But certainly he could be better. And I don't think he's played anywhere near what he did last year. And it clearly has hurt the team this year. But you wouldn't notice that because they're the one seed. In part because their defense is really, really good. And, it's not quite the 2016 Broncos defense. But it's pretty close, though. I would say it's kind of close. So, well, not kind of. Well, they're both pretty good. Obviously 2016 defense was immaculate with that Super Bowl. Or actually, I'm sorry. I should say 2015. I'm sorry, 2015. With Payne's last year with the Broncos and whatnot. So, but yeah. So, look, this game. I'm only picking the Bills because it's now or never for them. And Josh Allen finally needs to step up, and he needs to. And look. Game may not be fair, okay? But the Bills' defense is atrocious. It's not good. He needs to will his team to a Super Bowl. That's what it's going to take. All right. Let's get to the next game on Saturday, which is the 49ers versus the Seahawks. So, the Niners have had a really weird season. I felt like they have lost every single meaningful defensive starter on that team. And yet somehow they're advancing the divisional round to face the Seahawks. I don't get it. I mean, I'm not sure what black magic they had to endure, right? But here they are in this spot. I don't really have a lot to say about this game, except I think the Seahawks are going to win. The Niners are just hurt, and I know they're still playing decent, even with all their missing starters and whatnot defense. But don't get it twisted. It's not going to last long. I would be shocked if it would, right? And even though, look, I'm not a big fan of Sam Darnold, right? But the Seahawks is a really good defense, and when their offense is on it, they're on it. They're a really good team, and there's a reason why they have the one seed. So I'm actually going to take the Seahawks here. And it's not that I don't like the Niners in this spot. But again, it's just with all the injuries and also playing at Seattle as well, that's a huge disadvantage. It's going to be loud. It's going to be cold. It's not going to be a good playing environment if you're the Niners. So I'm taking the Seahawks. And then we go to Sunday, 3 p.m. Texas versus Patriots. So the Patriots took care of business against the Chargers because the Chargers' offensive line is horrendous because of the injuries. And the Texans beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. So beat Aaron Rodgers, his last game, his last pass, a pick six, which is great. I love that. And yeah, so I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know what I was doing there. So look, I think about this game is that both these defenses are really good, and they both have they both have defensive minded coaches too, right? You have Vrabel with Patriots, obviously. You got D'Amico Ryans with the Texans. So both defensive minded people facing each other. So I mean, expect this to be a huge defensive game. Expect this to be a chess match, defensively wise. The Patriots have had a really good season. This is their best season in like 6 years. I'm not even joking. Drake May has turned out to be a really good quarterback. I mean, the Patriots might have done it again. Might have another Hall of Famer on their hands. Great. With that being said, I am going to pick the Texans to win this game. I don't know why, but I just have this gut feeling that the Texans, while it may not be, a beatdown, and it's going to be close, ultimately, I think it's going to come down to the Texans winning this game. And it's because of that defense. Like, Houston, when they're good and when their defense is really just at its peak, it might be the best defense in all of football. And they're well coached, and look, I get that CJ Stroud has been really great, but he's been good, and he's made some big plays. So, and that's what he's got to keep doing that. And I just believe at the end of the day that the AFC Championship game is going to come down to the Texans and the Bills. And I could be completely wrong, but that's who I think it's going to come down to at the end of the day. Alrighty. And let's get to the last game. Let's get to the last game on Sunday. Rams versus the Chicago Bears, who I hate with a passion. I'm going to make this quick just for my sanity and just so everybody knows. Like, I hate the Chicago Bears. I hate that team with a burning passion. Like, if they were to disband as an organization right this moment, right now, that would be the happiest moment of my life. I hate this team with a burning passion. They're my least favorite team in all of the National Football League. I don't hate any other team than the Chicago Bears more. I hate this team. I hate this team. I hate this team. So with that being said, I'm taking the Rams simply because I hate the Bears, and I would lose my mind if I saw the Bears in the NFC Championship game this year. So I'm taking the Rams solely based on my sanity. Because if the Rams don't win this game on Sunday, then I will be incredibly just beyond furious. So anyways, that's that. Yeah, that's the NFL division round weekend. The whole landscape, whatever. So of what's going on. So that's great. It's gonna be great. It was good. Look, no matter what, it's gonna be a great weekend of football. So, you know, it's gonna. We're really coming down to the wire. It's getting really exciting. All right. So, and the last thing I want to get into before we end today is I really want to talk about this Tarik Skubal arbitration situation. So, if you haven't heard, Tarik Skubal and the Detroit Tigers are going through arbitration right now. And the Tigers had offered an arbitration record of $19 million. But Tarik Skubal and Scott Boras both wanted $30 million. So obviously they're quite a bit apart, money-wise. So, and what's really weird is that if the Tigers, so I've heard rumors that if the Tigers were to lose this arbitration hearing, which they probably are, and they're probably going to side with Tarik Skubal and the $30 million, right? And if they do that, then apparently it will hurt the Tigers' ability to go get a pitcher like Chris Bassett or any pitcher. Why? Why would it hurt your ability to go get a pitcher? Because you have to pay Tarik Skubal finally? Because you have to pay him $30 million? Is that why? I mean, what are we doing? Why is this such a big deal? Why? What? I mean, seriously, what are the Tigers doing? Like, at this point, if you don't want him, and if you don't want to sign him to a long-term deal, that's fine. Then just trade him. Please. And look, here's the thing, is I'm not saying that you have to give such and such, back in return, right? At this point, just trade him. Like, even if you give back like a few prospects, maybe your major league player, that's great. At this point, anything would be great, because I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the Tigers clearing that carrying. I'm tired about, Tarik Skubal and his agent Scott Boras, especially Scott Boras going around and saying Scooby do this and that. Like, nobody cares. Like, come on. Like, and here's the thing. Scott Boras is just, in general, a pain to deal with, right? He's just a pain. You're not going to get what you want out of him. It's either the highway or his way. With Scott Boras, that's it. That's how he operates. That's how he works. Again, at this point, I would just trade Skubal. Clearly, the Tigers have no real interest in signing him to a long-term deal. That's fine. We'll part ways, and that'll be it. But obviously, the Tigers won't do that because they want to sell tickets and they want to compete for this year. And how could they compete without Tarik Skubal? And man, I just, you know what? I give up. It's either you are all in or you're all out. Which is it? Huh? Are you all in or are you all out? If you're all in, then you potentially sign him to a long-term deal. If you're all out, then trade him. Which is it? Huh? You can't be right in the middle. That's not how real life works. Like, it's either you're all in or you're all out. That's it. Anything else is malpractice from this organization. Anything else, literally. So, anyways, I just want to spend like 5 minutes on that, just because it's been bugging me a little bit, and I hate how this whole Tigers and Tarik Skubal situation has turned out. Like, I just wish they already would have made a decision yet. and they haven't, which sucks. With that being said, that's going to be the end of the show. I appreciate all of you guys. Please like, please subscribe. Please follow the show. Please share as well. I appreciate it. And yeah, alrighty. I appreciate you guys. Have a good one.